Welcome to SPED 780 for the spring semester. I'm so excited to welcome you to teaching secondary students with high incidence disabilities. My name is Dr. Kylie Stewart. I'll be your instructor this semester, and I have to tell you, this is really one of my favorite classes that we offer here at Pitt State through our master's program. I want to just briefly introduce myself, introduce the course, and kind of walk you through what the first week of the class is going to look like and kind of set some expectations for you. Like I said, my name is Kylie Stewart. I have been teaching at Pitt State. This is my 5th year now, and I've kind of had a whole range of experiences working with individuals with disabilities, from being a sibling of an individual with a disability. I grew up with my brother Phil, who has an intellectual disability, and my husband Chad and I have 3 kiddos. Josie, our oldest, who is 10, is deaf and has a number of congenital anomalies. So I've kind of had the experience of a sibling, now as a parent, and before I was a parent, I taught special education at the middle school and elementary level, and then also worked at the district level with technology integration into the classroom to really help students with disabilities thrive in that general ed curriculum. So you'll find that I plug a lot of these experiences into the course and into the content as we work our way through the concepts that we'll talk about in this class. One of the most important things I want you to realize from this class, even if you teach elementary level and you may think to yourself, I'm never going to teach high school, I don't know why I need this course, I want you to know that this course is very application based. So when you come out of this class, you're going to have a lot of tools in your toolkit that you can use to help students be successful in the general ed classroom, whether that be in the secondary classroom or in an elementary classroom setting. The other important point I always like to make is you never know where your career is going to take you. When I started out teaching in middle school, I never really thought that I was going to be teaching at the college level. So it's always important to have these skills. You never know, an opportunity might open up at the secondary level that's really attractive to you, and you work with students at the middle school, high school level with disabilities. So I think that's important for you to have that background knowledge to work with those students. The other thing I think is really important, whether you're a high school teacher, a middle school teacher, an elementary teacher, whether you're a related service provider, it's really important to think of our students long term, what our goals are. Now, you may not be writing transition goals if you're working with 2nd and 3rd graders, but it's so helpful to have those end goals in mind as you're thinking about what IEP goals you're developing, what skills you're developing, what's going to be most critical for those students when they get into adulthood. And I think this class really gives you some great tools to do that. One of the things that we're going to rely on heavily in this class is our textbook, Strategies for Teaching Content Effectively in the Inclusive Secondary Classroom. I love this book because it has a lot of resources in it that you can use in the classroom. Printables, things you can copy and take out, and it's very content specific. So this class is really going to be broken down in content areas and looking at really some tools that we can use to help those students be successful in things like reading, written language, math, science, social studies, even in assessment. So I think that's going to be helpful. Make sure you order that textbook. It's not very expensive, and I do think that it's going to be a textbook that you come back to even after the class and refer to. So I think you're going to really enjoy it. Another key point I want to make in this video is you'll notice that this course has a little different layout maybe than the previous courses that you've had in the past. We're using a new template model for our master's program, so we're putting all of those courses into that, and I really think it's going to help you navigate the course better and really just take away any questions you might have about locating information, locating the resources that you need for that week to get the content done, and really make the content the primary focus, not figuring out how to use Canvas, which I think is so critical. So you'll see in the video here, this is the homepage that you will always come to when you enter SPED 780 on Canvas. And for this first week, you're going to be working on the SPED 780 course information and then Module 1. So you'll notice that in the links here underneath the image, you have a start here, which takes you immediately to that course information that's critical that you're going to want to walk through first, step by step, to make sure you have all the necessary information you need to be successful in the class. And then you have a link to the modules, the syllabus, and contacting me. Now, once we get into the course and we work through our modules, this course really runs a Monday to Monday schedule. So every Monday there's going to be a new course module available for you with a specific subject matter that we're studying for that week. You're going to have readings out of the textbook. You may have some readings separate from the textbook or some resources to look at that I think are important for you to know about. And then you'll have some sort of activity, and those are going to range from really developing some materials that you can use in your classroom that are very application-based. We will have some discussion where we discuss things in small groups, kind of see what your fellow classmates are doing with the content, what their thoughts are on that. And then we're going to end the course with some projects like a unit plan and a transition project. Important skills to have as you're a classroom teacher, whether it's elementary all the way through high school. I'll go ahead and take a brief look at the course information. If I click on that link, it's going to take us to the very first list of activities, and you'll notice that most of them are grayed out except for that first one. This is going to require you to go through this introductory course module in a sequential manner. And so you'll go through the Welcome the Course first. It'll have a video, this video for you to watch. So if you've already watched it, you can go ahead and move on to the next page. And this has some course tips and tricks. These are things that I think are going to be really helpful to you to be successful in the class. One is having a plan throughout the week to tackle the activities and the assignments. And you'll notice in each module, when you access that on Monday, I'm going to kind of break down a timeline for you for how to be successful during the week without saving everything to the end of the week. And that means logging in and doing a short amount of activity, reading, accessing resources, working on an activity every day. Okay, so it's a small amount of time if you do it each day. The other thing is when we have a discussion forum, posting to that discussion forum early in the week. Don't wait until the end of the week where your classmates don't have a chance to respond and ask you questions. That will be part of the discussion forum grade. And the most important thing I want you to know is that I'm here to help and to be a resource. So please don't wait until you kind of get into the weeds and you're not sure what you're doing. Email me if you have questions. I'm always happy to help. If you want me to take a look at a draft of something you're working on for an activity in class, I'll give you feedback. I really enjoy doing that. I want to do that for you. So especially here as you're kind of getting started and getting to know my expectations, feel free to shoot me a draft, midweek towards the end of the week, and I can give you some feedback before that due date for you to make some changes. So this is an important page to look at in terms of how to be successful. The next page is just some contact information for me, how to get a hold of me, some kind of guidelines. Typically my response time during weekdays is 24 hours. I typically respond sooner than that. 48 hours on the weekends. You can also text me during a typical work day from 8 to 5. I will tell you, if you email me in the evening or text me in the evening and expect a response, we are early to bed and early to wake up in our house. So I'm much more likely to respond to an email at 5 a.m. than I am to text you back at 8. So that's just a heads up if you're trying to get some pretty quick communication from me. Grading policy, typical criteria here for an A, 100 to 90%. The important thing I want you to note here, two things. The late assignment policy, no late work accepted without prior approval. I know that life happens, okay? And this course isn't always going to be your number one priority. If you have something happen in your life that is contributing to you turning in late assignments, don't wait until after the fact to communicate with that to me. Keep me updated. Let me know what's going on. Let's work on a modified due date if we need to do that. We're not going to do that every week, but like I said, things happen, right? And I'm understanding of that. But the key is you just have to communicate with me. And then academic honesty. I really do grade for academic honesty. So I will check Google. I will check the textbook, making sure that the work is your work and your work alone. And just make sure that you're citing the resources that you use properly. And if you have questions about how to cite and do those things, don't hesitate to ask me. I'm glad to provide information on that. The syllabus, you'll want to download that. And then there's a short quiz just based on the information from the course information, just to make sure you have those critical points that I want to make sure that you know. So once you do that, you can get access to Module 1. I want to go to Module 1 just to show you quickly what a module looks like for you. When you log into a module, you're going to see this taskbar that goes across the middle of the screen here. You can see a third of it is in blue. That means that I am currently completing a third of that module for the week. You'll have the objectives. You'll have the steps to complete this module. Notice here in the steps, there's 5 steps to complete the module. Each day, do just a little bit, right? And stay on top of it. And that just allows you to really give you some information on time management. And then each module is going to have some kind of instructional video, whether that's me giving some additional information from the text that I think is important, separate from anything that you read or any resources. So it's really important that you watch those videos. And then typically some kind of quick check question that you have to answer to move on to the next activity in the module. And then usually some resources there as well for you to take a look at. So that's kind of the instructional piece of the module, how it's set up. You'll notice that in the first module, you're going to have some chapter review questions that you answer. And then there's a really short discussion forum group assignment survey. This survey just gives me some background information on you in terms of your area of interest, geographical location, current grade levels that you work with, to allow me to form discussion groups that are going to share common interests and common background. So it's really important that you do that so I can set up those discussion groups for you. So that's kind of the first week in a nutshell. I wanted to introduce myself. Like I said, I'm really excited about this class. I love working on instructional content and really helping our students with disabilities be successful in that general ed classroom. It's so critical for them long term. And so if you have any questions, email me. If you have any trouble finding the textbook, let me know. But I will be in touch soon with additional information as we start working through Module 1.